This is May 31st, 1995, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of Grandma and Grandpa's house. We're getting ready to move now. So this is the front door that you come through. We never used it much because usually we had everything sitting in front of it. Big house, but yet no place for anything. Right in front of the door as you came in was this big closet. Held a lot of coats, clothes, boxes, blankets, quilts, everything we needed for our kids when they came home to stay overnight, and the grandchildren. Taking it out of the closet, which was closed off by these beautiful curtains. We never did get a door on it, but the curtains did. At least it hid everything out of sight, out of mind. Turning around, there's the front door. Going around here we have Grandpa's treadmill. He got this when he had back surgery, 4 years ago. And he used it because it was too slippery to walk outside. And the rest of us used it once in a while. Tried to lose a little weight by walking on it, but never was quite that faithful. As we enter into the living room, you will see a couple of gold chairs sitting there in front of the window. That's Dwayne's mom's table and lamp that we inherited after she passed on. There's a beautiful fern we got at the time of Grandpa's funeral. Over here we have what used to be a fireplace, but Grandma and Grandpa got too old to cut wood, take care of it, so we put in the gas heater. The gas heater came from our cabin, which we replaced with a gas furnace. So everything had a place. As we scan along here, along the wall, we have our TV, our video, and a wall of antique dishes, all collected from Grandma's, Grandpa's, Mom's, Dad's, aunts, uncles. I'm going to try to bring you in for a close look, because you'll probably even recognize some of these things from in your home, or maybe you can remember seeing them at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Some of these cups Grandma and Grandpa bought when they were out on trips. Some of them come from overseas, France, Germany. Wish I had time to tell you the story behind each one. But you know what? Even Grandma's forgotten some of them. Where they came from, who they were for, and who they were meant to be. Anyway, we had some books down there, and somehow the kids, our little grandchildren seem to be able to mess that up once in a while, but pulling everything out. Then we scan along here, and we have some end tables there that Cactus built in school. And we have a worn-out Davenport that's going on the auction now. That used to be Dwayne's mom's, Nana's. And over there we have a gold rocking chair. And then we have Grandma's recliner. We have Grandpa's smoke stand, which he didn't use in the last years, but it was a place to set our coffee cups. And we have Grandpa's recliner. Then we're back to where we came in. There's the front door. But I'm going to bring you back now a little bit and reminisce just a little bit longer on some of these things that we have here. Wish I could find the pause button, but I don't know just where that is, so Bear with me while I try and walk straight here. This is what we kind of call the antique wall. Has a picture of, well, I don't know who they all are standing in a row there. Grandma Nana is in there, Great Grandma and Grandpa, the ones that are down below in that picture. And then we have Nana and Papa, Twain's mom and dad in the oval frame. We have Gummy and Papa, Eleanor's mom and dad. Then we have Eleanor and Dwayne, Grandma and Grandpa. And then we have their wedding picture. Then we have a few other pictures. Grandpa as Santa Claus. And we have some of the grandchildren up there. Never did get it completed to have them all up there. Someday, maybe Grandma will add to it. I don't know. When I get moved to my new apartment, maybe I'll find a wall to add a little more to it. As we scan past here, we're going to go kind of quickly past this wrought iron railing here to the dining room because that's still a mess from all the boxes. The mirror above the Davenport was from Nana Palmberg's. The cuckoo clock up there came from Germany when Grandma and Grandpa went down the Rhine River for selling the most American Motors cars. We had our implement and auto dealership at Luck, Wisconsin. We bought it over there in the Black Forest and had it shipped home. It still runs if you remember to wind it. I'm kind of forgetful of that. All this above the fireplace are also antiques that we've collected. There's some good stories behind them. I hope maybe we can reminisce and remember that your folks can remember some of them. This fireplace got to be quite a project. We added this room on when Diane, Dennis, Deborah, and Darren were quite small. So we designed our own fireplace. We laid out newspapers on the floor so it would fit perfectly in that corner. That's why it's raised up a little and there's a few little angles to it. And then later we added this on over here to get the TV up a little higher because somehow all we could see was heads when Grandma and Grandpa sat back there. So we added on, lifted that up too. Worked out quite well. We've enjoyed this room. It's only 32 by 16, almost as big as some houses. We've had a lot of good times in here. All through that window you used to be able to see where Grandma had her garden. We used to raise a big one when the kids were little. But as the years went by, our bones got too old to get up and down, so no more garden. And there we are, back to the front door again. So with that, I'll close for now until I get time to go through another room, but now I can pack all this stuff up because I have told you everything that's in here. Here I am standing at the end of our driveway looking at our garage. double garage was Dwayne's and mine. The small one was Nana's while she was living, and after that it was the renters, Roy and Deanne LeBlanc, until they moved out, and then Dennis, Darren, and Debbie moved in. Garage, we will see our house and the small house. And then we are out to the road again. Now I am going to walk back into so we can draw these in a little closer, and then I will show you exactly what our house and everything looked like at one time here. Walking alongside the little smaller house. Darren and Debbie lived there until we sold, so they had to move too. Now I'm walking, oh, there's the garage. Now beyond that is a little grove of trees that we had, which gave us good protection from the west winds. Walk up towards our house. You can see right there is that house, and right here is the other house. Real close together. Our backyards joined together so we could sit outside. And there's my little flower garden. Back last year we even planted some vegetables there. And they turned out pretty well. And just a little beyond that are the two little sheds, which were filled with junk, so we had a lot of things to move when we were ready to move. This is the other side of the garage that faces the house. That tree there, when it bloomed in the springtime, was just beautiful. But it would only last for a couple days, and then the blossoms would fall off because it always rain or get windy. But we had hummingbird feeder hanging in it. We had a finch food feeder hanging in it. We had lots and lots of birds. But as you can see, there's the little sandbox. There's the swing and the tree. We're coming now to the other side of the house. I'm just going around the circle here so that you can see what the whole thing looks like. I'm not moving too fast. Our boat is sitting up there. Always sat in the garage until we sold the place, then we had to find a spot for it outside. So it sits up there. You can see the corn crib. You can see a little piece of the silo. And that's all that's left of the old barn, of which we used to milk about 30, 40 head of cattle. Now I'm going to go inside the house and see what that looks like. Now, there's a refrigerator, and there's our counter. On this first part is where the microwaves always stood. On top of that, under that was the dishwasher. You can you have a panorama of what the kitchen looked like. There's the refrigerator again. And there's the door that I just came through. I'll do this one more time here. Refrigerator, stove, we have cupboards above it. Nice corner cupboard. Nice turntable on the bottom. Carpeting on the floor. And there's a sink. We had stand do dishes. We have more cupboards. Nice counter that we could eat by. Lots of cupboard space, lots of drawer space. And we did have a dishwasher. And then of course we just have a little spot there, and then we go right over here, and there's the refrigerator again. We used that counter for everything, so we had lights above it so that we could do our schoolwork, our balancing the checkbook, whatever, and we always ate at the counter. It hasn't been this clean since first day we put it in. Now I'm going to take you into the other parts of the house. We get to the end of the kitchen. There's the end of the counter. And I'm going to take a right. And then we have the stairway that goes upstairs. And as we turn the circle here, we come to a little hallway, which leads into the bathroom, which was a nice bathroom, not too big. We pull the curtain apart here. We had one of those nice all-around tubs. We had to cut out part of the door to get it in here, but we managed. Behind the door was a stool, which is important to every bathroom. Looks a little bare now that I haven't got anything hanging in here. Grandpa picked out the light fixtures and the medicine chest when we got that. We have a nice counter there. We had carpeting on that floor too. And then as we go back out into the little hallway here, we have the mirror, full-length mirror, which all of you kids have had your fingerprints on many, many, many times. And then we enter into what was Grandma and Grandpa's bedroom. It wasn't very big, but it was big enough. We had a dresser sitting right there. We had a bedstand next to it there, and the bed stood in front of the window. And we had another nightstand there. And then here we have a closet, which was a nice big closet. It has two doors to it, just because one of them isn't closed right now. There we go, that looks better. And then we had a dresser standing there. And then we come to the door to go back out into the hallway where that full-length mirror is. Go back out the hallway. We'll go right past the steps. We'll do that one later. And here we are. Back here, there's the kitchen. This was the dining room. We had the buffet sitting right there in front of the window. A china closet right next to it. And a table and chairs which could pull out so we could seat the whole family. Right there in the middle of the room is the chimney. And right in the front of the chimney sat a little What do I want to call it? Well, a little piece of furniture that had doors on it, that had all of the kids' toys in it. And from here we go out right along the stairway to our bar area. We had hanging glasses from up there and on the shelves above the window and along the wall we had Grandpa's beer can collection. And below the window we had the little deep freeze sitting. And we have some bifold doors here. When they open up, we have what we called the laundry room. Here was the washer and the dryer, shelves of all kinds, which were filled with everything that you can imagine. And then down here in the floor is a trap door that goes down into the basement. The basement wasn't livable, but at one time I did wash clothes down there. Furnace is down there. Here, right off from the stairway in the dining room area, we have the new people's chairs sitting in here now. We used to have a round table right there in the corner, which was a pool table. We used it as a card table to play cards on. A lot of times we sat at it to eat. There's our chimney. We go walking back past out here to the dining room area, and we'll walk right over here. There's a wrought iron railing, which I would never let my kids jump over, but I guess they did sometimes when we were gone. And two of my grandsons did it when we were moving. One made it over real nicely, the other one, Scott, you made it over real good. Eric, I don't know what happened to you. Maybe you can tell them all that story. I won't. And then we go back into the living room, which I have recorded before for you when we had everything in here. Doesn't look too much different now because the people that bought our place bought all our furniture at the auction. The only thing that's missing is the TV. Otherwise, it's the same room as what you've seen before. So we're going to go back out of the living room because you've seen all that. Back up, we have 2 steps there, up into the dining room area. We're walking right where the dining room table was. Back over towards the kitchen. And then we have the stairway, which we are going to try to walk up right now. I'm hanging on to the wrought iron railing so I don't fall with the camera. And we're moving up the steps to the landing, which you kids used to sit on and play and roll the ball back and forth. Most of you slid down these steps many times on your little seat or your belly. And straight ahead of me is what was the boys' room. I'll walk through the door. Turn on the light. There's the door that we just came through. Their dresser stood there. And that's the chimney that sticks out a little bit. And there was another dresser over on this side of the chimney. Bed sat next to it. That wall, well, crib sat there part of the time. That was after everybody else left home and the little ones were born. In a window, which overlooked the porch outside. Going back out from their door, turning to my right, is what was the girls' room. That was a little bigger. There's a little cubby hole that went into the attic. Had the bed sitting there against the wall, and after they all left home, we had 2 beds in here. And we usually had a dresser there. It's a closet door. A dresser there. And then it goes back out to the hall again. One thing, we had a big closet. It wasn't too high to the roof for the ceiling. We couldn't get that dresser out of here. We would have to take the door frame on, so that kind of stays right there. And we never did quite get this closet finished after the fire. Before the fire, this room was a little bigger, and the boys' room was a lot smaller. If these walls could talk, they could sure give you a lot of good stories about your moms and dads. But I won't tell on them. And then we go back out the door. One thing here, you have to be duck, because that doorway is not real high. I can make it through, but a lot of people can't. See, before we had the fire, their room only went as far as to that wall. So there wasn't much room in here. Then we made it a little bigger and make it a little bit easier for everybody. This sort of ends our tour. I'm going to go back down these steps. They are a little steep, so we got to take it easy. I'm kind of jiggling the camera around at the same time. But we're going down. We have this little ridge here. And over there you see some styrofoam, because in the wintertime, after all the kids left home, Grandpa and I, we put a piece of styrofoam across here. And it made it a lot warmer for us downstairs. Here we go, down those stairs. And if I'm not careful, I'll probably slide down them just like you kids did when you were little. For a while at Christmas, and now I'm going to go back out the door again to the outside. About 12 of us, 10 of us. They used to hang the stockings down here on the stair railing. And there got to be a few too many, and there wasn't enough room there, so then I had to hang them in here in the living room around the fireplace or the stove. But Santa still seemed to find them, no matter where they were. There's an awful lot of good memories in this place. Your grandpa lived here for 61 years. We were married. I lived here for 37 great years. A lot of good times. Some heartaches, but all good memories. This will always be the home place. But our life has to go on. So now Grandma's home in Clear Lake is going to be home. Now I'm going to go outside and show you a little bit again. Here I am, standing on the back steps. There's the boat, the barn behind it, machine shed where our land ends, the backyard, apple trees that we planted. We've raised a good many good apples. We've enjoyed them. There's There's our little flower garden. The shed's beside it. And the garage. Laid that new sidewalk just a couple years ago. We just redid the sidewalk to that house a couple years ago, tore out the step, pulled that away with the tractor. It's the new people that are owning our place that have their lawn chairs and whatever there. There's those trees out by the road. Those started out by the back steps on the other side of this house, and they were real little. Didn't do good there, so we planted them out by the road. And they've grown wonderfully ever since. Now I'm going to try and walk down these steps without falling. And we're just going to walk around the front yard here. There's the tree with the swing in it, the sandbox. Kids had a lot of fun with. Our tree that housed all the birds. Gave us a lot of enjoyment looking out the window, watching those little yellow finches fighting over their food. The hummingbird, the oriole, coming down to eat. There's the lilac bushes that we tried to get rid of so many times and they kept coming back. I think they're supposed to be there. We have all this nice flowers along the side of the house here. Hey, there's those back steps I was talking about. There's my kitchen sink window that I could look out at. And there's the dining room window that we could watch the birds through. And we'll continue on our little walk through here next to the house. Here's some big trees that we cut down a few years ago. I think we cut down 5 of them because there were just too many trees here. But this was always a beautiful yard. A few more stumps there. Now we're around to the west side of the house. There's the living room window. There's the living room door. We just tore out the steps this last fall. We're going to build new ones this year, but we sold the place instead. It's Warren's cornfield out there. A lot of that is our property, but we let them plant corn because we didn't want to mow it all. And kids were little, we played a ball field out there. I had a big garden out there. After it rained, they'd have a place to play in the water out there. This is what you call the front side of the house, but we really never used much of this side of the house. The driveway was on the other side. There's the corn crib, the barn, our boat. Now we're coming down to the south side of the house, which is really the back side. Way back when, we used to have a door there that went into the kitchen before we changed everything around. This is just the backyard. Our grove of trees out there. There's the windows that were out behind the bar in the house. And our bedroom window. And the window to the basement where we used to throw all the wood down when we burnt wood. now we're back to the east side of the house. There's the other window in Grandma and Grandpa's bedroom. And the back door, which was back door, front door. Only one we ever used. And that ends our journey. But the place called home. Here's why we're leaving this place. That little sign right there says it all. We were happy to sell it because it was too much for Grandpa and I to take care of. And so our lives must change. Here you can view across the road. Lived Warren Magler's wonderful neighbors. They didn't bother us. We didn't bother them. But yet they were there if we needed them. The time of the fire, chimney fire at our house, Warren was right here to help Darren put it out that day to save our house. So we now end our journey on to a new. Grandma never changes. She always forgets something. We forgot to even show you what the whole thing of the other house, which we built for Nana after Papa died. So we're going to take a little walk around that now, so you can see what that looks like. Here we are, coming up from the garage onto the sidewalk. And then we'll walk a little bit further away. That was her utility room. It was also Darren and Debbie's and the renters. Flowers underneath. Come around here to the door, which I told you we tore the steps out a couple years ago. There's the back door. And that's the kitchen window. We go along here, which is the west side of the house. So the front side, the front door, and the living room window. Which, see, we're not very far from those trees that I told you about. And for handy's sake, straight off from there was the swing that Derek used and Hannah and Zach played on when they came. And there's those lilac bushes. And standing right here, see, it's not very far back over to this Grandma and Grandpa's house. And we'll take a walk right around the house. See Warren's horses out there and cattle. Come around the corner of the house. We're on the north side and all the flowers are in bloom. And then we have one bedroom window there. Hope I'm holding this camera still enough that you can at least see it. I don't walk into that tree that's right there. But then we go around this side of the house. And there's the other bedroom window. Yeah, right in the corner. And down there is the bedroom window to the other room, which was, oh, everybody slept in that bedroom. It was Derek's now at the end. Cat was almost born there. Kids slept there when Nana lived there. They have friends over and they'd stay there and sleep there. So we had a lot of good times. And now we're back to where we were, and Grandma's car's headed out the driveway. So that's where she's going.